with his ball and bat. Says I am the greatest of them all. Puts bat on his shoulders and he tosses up the ball. Hey guys, good morning. How you guys doing? It is Thursday. That means it is our last day of e-learning. Today is May 7th, 2020. Today is Thankful Thursday. What are you thankful for? I am thankful for great neighbors, good friends, and I'm thankful that I'm able to deliver this video e-learning message to you guys. Can you believe that it is day 18? Wow, 18 days of this. Guys, we're almost done with this. We got about a week and 2 days left, and then our school will be out. So, with that being said, today's Thursday, Thankful Thursday. What are you thankful for? And let's get ready and get started with our learning today. Good morning and welcome to today's show. Today's show is called a Tony Talk because that is correct. We have your very own Iron Man, Tony Stark is here. Tony, thank you for joining us. Mr. Elliott, audience, thank you for having me. I am so excited to be here. Glad I could just fly right over and join you and do this meeting today. So thanks again for having me. Now, Tony, I got a few questions that our viewers are wanting to know. Why did you become the Iron Man?
You know, the reason that I became Iron Man was because of the reason of my love for technology. I was one day trying to mess around, tinkering with different objects, and I said, well, what if I created this costume, this suit that was basically indestructible, and I could basically just help fight the world and keep it safe. So the reason I became Iron Man was to help save the world, continue to keep bad off of the street, and because of my love for the technology and building.
Can you tell us, when you put that suit on, does it ever get really hot in that suit?
My suit could be hot, but you know, when you're Tony Stark, you just go ahead and build an air conditioner right in. I got some fans and air conditioning, so even on the hottest day, I can still stay cool while I'm flying over the buildings.
And last but not least, what advice would you give to our viewers?
My advice for the audience and the students, viewers, just remember, be kind and always choose good over evil. If you're kind and you're nice to your friends and you're nice to your loved ones, good things will happen. So when in doubt, just choose to be kind. Until next time, thanks for having me, guys. I gotta fly out of here.
Thank you, Mr. Iron Man, for being here. Thank you for giving your message. Thank you for protecting us. Until next time, guys, that is the end of our show with our Tony Talk. We'll see you on Tuesday. Let's talk about the homework. For reading, you're going to have Abraham Lincoln questions. You can find those on Google Forms and read 30 minutes today and the weekend. In writing, you'll have your journal entry, and then you're going to have a Google form that you're going to just describe the poem that I read during writing time. In math, all you have is Zern for 10 minutes today. And your activity and challenge, you're going to have an Abraham Lincoln biography video that you're going to watch, and then you're going to take a virtual field trip to Lincoln Boyhood National Park. This week we've been talking about historical figures and how events in history have shaped where we are today in our world and society. This week would have been a week that we would have went on our field trip. And our field trip would have been going to the Lincoln Boyhood Park. However, we did not get to take that field trip. Therefore, today's focus is going to be on Abraham Lincoln. I'm going to read you a biography about Abraham Lincoln, and you're going to have a Google Forms that you have to answer some of the questions on Abraham Lincoln. So, today's going to be reading Abraham Lincoln biography. You listen, and then you get to answer the questions. So, let's get started. Here is the Abraham Lincoln biography. Abraham Lincoln was born February 12, 1809, in Hodgenville, Kentucky, in a single-room log cabin. His parents were Thomas and Nancy Lincoln. His family moved to Indiana when he was young. His mother died when he was only 9 years old. His father and sister took care of him. Abe's father remarried a year later, and his new mother took care of him. Abe could not go to school often, but he loved to read and learn. He read whenever he could, even while plowing the fields. He borrowed many books and educated himself since he could not go to school. Abe married Mary Todd, and they had 4 children: Robert, Edward, William, and Thomas. Abe learned many trades. He was a shopkeeper, a postmaster, a woodcutter, and a surveyor. He found a book in a barrel that he bought as a shopkeeper that changed his life. It was a law book, and Abe decided that he wanted to help people by becoming a lawyer. Abe was elected to the legislature and taught himself to be a lawyer while he served in office. Soon, Abraham Lincoln was elected as a congressman and served for 15 years before he ran for president. As the 16th president of the United States, Lincoln and the northern states wanted to end slavery, the practice of owning people to do hard work. But the South wanted to keep their slaves. As a result of the conflict, the Civil War began and was fought between the North and the South for 4 years. When the war ended, the days of slavery were over. President Lincoln was assassinated not long after. The war was over in 1865 while attending a play at the Ford Theater in Washington, D.C. Abraham Lincoln was the tallest president at 6 feet 4 inches tall. He was known to keep letters and documents in his tall stovepipe hat. He was called Honest Abe because he once worked 3 days to pay for water damage for a borrowed book. Lincoln was known to be a good story and joke teller. That is a quick, short story on Abraham Lincoln's biography. Obviously, they weren't able to put everything, all the little details into this biography because it was short. However, based off of the information I read from the text, you're going to answer a few questions on our Google Forms. That should be your homework. Reading homework today. You're going to have Abe Lincoln questions in a Google Forms, and then today and the rest of the weekend you got Read 30 Minutes. We have been talking about in poetry a bunch of different things, and you guys are probably writing similar to what I am modeling. So today's lesson about poetry goes with reading and kind of using what you read as a mentor text to model how you write. So up on my board I've got using a poet's eye. So as you read or listen to somebody read a poem, then that's going to affect the way that you write, or it's going to contribute to how you write your poem. So let's look at these points that I make. Using poet's eyes. As you're reading a poem, first read slow and notice and name details that the author or the poet is talking about. The second point is, while reading, ask and answer questions. And finally, as you read and you get poem that you really like how it flows or you like the way it sounds, borrow that poet's techniques and try to use them for your own. So today, I'm not going to ask you to write a poem. I'm actually going to read a poem to you, and I want you to try to tell me what you think this poem is about, or the way that it is written, what it makes you think of. Visualization, okay, we've talked about trying to make strong word choice in poems. Try to take a big moment and use big feelings and break that down into a small moment by using big feelings. We've talked about how poems can rhyme, don't have to rhyme. And we've talked about sound words, onomatopoeias. Repetition can strengthen our visualization. Today, I'm going to read a poem for you, and I want you, in your own opinion, to describe what you think this poem's about, or give me a quick description of what you take away from the poem. Alright guys, I have a poem. I'm going to share it with you, and then you are going to describe what you feel or think about when you heard this poem. So here's the poem. I think today's the day. Wind is getting colder. Geese are on their way. Oak is throwing acorns. It's time to go ahead. I think today's the day. Let's change our leaves to red. And that's all I've got. On Google Forms, please give me a description of what you think this poem is talking about.